This is the, I guess, guest host. I'm making an appearance back in the Ef'n Sunny Show. Today we have a very special group of ladies. Do y'all want to introduce yourselves?
So my name's Karina Garza de Luna. I'm an attorney. I'm friends with all these lovely ladies. I'm also a mom. And I guess that's why we're here today. We're all awesome moms.
Yes.
So, yes, I've been practicing 13 years. I currently work at Chavez Legal Group. I have 2 twins, identical twin boys. They're 4 years old, about to be 5 in July. They are autistic, and they are our whole world.
My name is Patricia Rigney. I've been an attorney this will be my 17th year. I've been working for the city of FAR as their city attorney for the past going on 6 years now. And I'm proud to represent FAR because I grew up and I graduated from PSJ. So
that explains a lot.
That's another episode. So I have 2 children. They're 8 and 10, and they're also my life. And I'm glad to be here to be able to share our experience in motherhood and working during the pandemic.
So I'm Amanda Esquivel. I am a Chick-fil-A owner-operator in Brownsville. Before then, I did some pharmaceutical sales, taught at the university, been doing this now for 3 years. I have 2 beautiful daughters. They're 7 and 15. We're just talking how my 15-year-old's going to leave me in 2 years, and I may just start crying. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. First time I've done this type of a podcast, which is great. My headband may fall back, so if you guys see that, that's okay. They're gonna warn me here a little bit. We're gonna look out for each other.
It looks perfect. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, thank you guys for having us.
And in case any of y'all are wondering, Amanda does not smell like Chick-fil-A nuggets. I kind of wish that she did because I love Chick-fil-A nuggets, but that's okay.
Yes,
that's okay.
Thank you.
So basically, we wanted to do this episode. Mother's Day is coming up, and this past year with the pandemic, it's been pretty much magnified basically what a crazy job that you all have as moms. Moms on top of work, and then adding something like the pandemic. It's just unmanageable because, like, for me, I don't have kids. I'm not married. I live at my house by myself. So the pandemic was obviously very different for me than it was for you all. But, I can't imagine like dealing with my own personal stress of like just like out of a routine, not going to court, not doing things like that, on top of dealing with a small human being and trying to comfort them, keep a schedule with them of some sorts, but also, I guess, giving yourself a little bit of like, I don't know, like not being so hard on yourself about the situation too. So what was that like?
So it was tough. It was really, really tough. And just as a mom, I think and working moms, right? I think we got to a point where it was juggling the two, right? It was hard as it was without something like a pandemic. And so it was just learning, I think, better time management, learning also, like you said, how to give ourselves a break, or to not be so hard on ourselves if we were feeling like we were failing at something, or maybe, I was not performing at work because I was trying to perform for my kids, and then choosing, on which of the two is most important, which I don't think we had to choose. We just had to manage and prioritize and give ourselves just that break.
I think at the beginning, a huge part of me just wanted to like lock myself in my house with my kids and make sure nobody came in. I mean, there was a time when even my husband, I'm like, stay out there. Do you have somewhere to sleep? And
just hose them down in the driveway.
Yeah,
like,
no, we did.
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
because of the coronavirus.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, exactly, right. We'll blame it on that. So a big part of me just wanted to just pull them in and just stay home and don't let anybody near them. And then it clicked, and I'm like, I'm running a business, right? And so I had to kind of just change my mindset a little bit and know that, of course I signed up for that. It's everything that I ever worked for, and then it was incorporating both, because I had 80 individuals that were, my team members, and they were scared and they were trying to figure it out, and they didn't want to come to work, but they had to come to work, because they needed money, and so it was just a lot. There were some crying moments, I will say. It was stressful for all of us, but we had to remain strong, and the kids were scared also, so we just had to kind of put our big girl pants on, you know, and just do both. And slowly, I think it just got a little bit easier, or we were able to manage it just a little bit better.
And Karina, your babies are a little bit younger. So what was that like? Were they already in school or any type of daycare or anything?
So they do pretty much full-time therapy. They do speech therapy, occupational therapy, and do ABA. And so when the pandemic hit and the shutdown happened, all that stopped. But fortunately, I was able to like find a facility that was doing in-person therapy. And of course, it was like with the masks and the face shields and, you know, taking all the precautions that we take. So I was able to get that going like within a month.
Because it's important. The little that I do know about like autism is the routine and making sure that they are continuing with like their therapies and stuff like that. That's really important, right?
Yes. Of course, you know, the fears were there, you know, that they could contract the virus, but I didn't want them to regress. And so it was a difficult decision. But we, you know, ultimately we're happy that we made it, and they've been doing really well and like their schedule, like their therapist. So thankfully everything's gone well.
For the kids that just couldn't go to school, like what was that like?
So it was tough for my kids. It was really, really tough. I was never kept home. I've actually worked more in person because of COVID. When that started, I went into the office a lot more and for longer hours. But there was a few days that I would manage to work from home. But luckily at the time, my husband works for the school district as well.
Oh, okay.
And so when school was shut down, he was home, and so he was able to do that. But unfortunately, we're both workaholics, right? And so the times that I did stay home with them or that he stayed home, he was still remote working, and we would kind of just let the kids do their thing. And then at the end of the day, when we were done working, it was trying to play catch up from the whole day. And not only that, trying to learn the material ourselves, which we were talking about, math, right? And so the math is really difficult. I cannot do second grade math.
I mean, I think I think we all said like consistently, like everybody in this room is like, no, like math is no, like I know for me, like when I was in college, I took 2 courses of like the lowest possible math, and I'm like, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to law school. I don't need math.
Right.
Thankfully, I have somebody in my life who's very good at math,
Right.
but I'm like, no. So I couldn't even imagine having to try to learn this new way of math and then teaching it to somebody else.
Right, because they changed it, right?
Yes.
This new Sharon Wells method or whatever it's
Whatever
called.
it is. I'm like, I don't get it.
In the end, you end up, you know, a lot of times, unfortunately, I was Googling just kind of the answer and not how to solve it. And, you know, the kids, it was tough. It was frustrating for them. And there was definitely moments that I wasn't proud of, you know, where I was stressed out from a long day of work and couldn't get them to sit down and focus, right? And the structure wasn't there anymore either, because we were either at work and they were kind of running amok in the house, eating everything in sight and just doing everything but sitting down.
Yeah.
And so it was really hard. But after, I think once they started with the electronic and remote learning with actual devices, and that helped a lot with the kids, and they got to interact with their friends, which was, and I'll let y'all talk, I swear.
No, it's okay.
You're fine.
It's okay.
So my son is super shy. He went through issues in 2nd grade when he was bullied, and he's never been the same, right? And so he's now in 5th grade. And so the pandemic actually just made his social skills regress even more so.
Oh no.
To the point where it was hard for him to like look at another kid or make a new friend or meet someone. And so once they started to actually be online and they could see each other, it was really a blessing. Like he was able to start coming back out of his shell a little bit, and thankfully now he's in school in person and he's coming back to, you know, opening up and not being as timid.
Amanda, what about you? Like school, like how was that?
So I always thought I wanted to be a homeschool teacher. To my kids, I'm like, I want to homeschool. I want to keep them home, and I'm like, no, I can't wait until they go back. You know, it was hard. You know, at the beginning when we were getting those packets, just sitting with them and doing it with them, and it was stuff that some of them had just seen for the first time. It was hard, you know, and for me, my business, you know, is an hour away. And so it was hard for me to go, leave them home and kind of figure out, like, are they doing their work? Are they not? So I would take them with me. And my playground became a makeshift little classroom. And they would sit in there and they would do their work. My kids have really actually enjoyed it. Faye still gets to play sports, so that was nice. She was still able to go back and lead this semi-normal high school life. In Victoria, she has a best friend that she's never met in person, but they talk every single day. Has it been hard? Absolutely. But I think that they've dealt with it very well, thankfully. We contemplated setting Victoria back, or both of them back this year. Faye's like, no way. I think she's gotten a taste of like college life. And thankfully, I think she's going to do good. But I was just telling my brother this morning, I'm like, I don't know about Victoria and college life, because this little girl is something else.
Victorias go crazy in college, just for the record.
Thank you. But they've done well. I feel like it's been challenging, but they kind of have.
And kids are resilient.
Absolutely.
They're going through all of this. Is there stuff that you actually like learned, like about yourself, or just about like running a household, that it's like, I used to think that, this was the way to do it, but now I'm okay with this, or anything like that?
I think going back to being resilient, I think that's what I learned about myself. Like I really am resilient. I am stronger than I gave myself credit. I mean, just think about it. Every day we had that worry that I don't want to cry, but that something was going to happen to our family. And, it was scary, but we still went to work every day. And, we handled things for our kids every day, and we kept busy and we moved on. And a year ago, if you'd have told me that is what I was going to live through, I wouldn't think that I'd be able to do it. So definitely learned that we mamas are very strong.
Was there anything that y'all got to experience during the pandemic that you probably would not have experienced if things were just normal, that you're like, wow, like this was a really good experience, or this is like an opportunity because we're not doing this, or we're not busy with that you all noticed?
We played games every single night.
Wow.
So like it became a routine. We played Sorry, right? And so on the inside of our Sorry box, we have like Amanda, OJ, Faye, Victoria, and like the number of
running.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I was winning. No, probably not. But, it was something that I'm like we enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. I would cook dinner, we would eat, we would play our game, and then we'd watch a movie. And like, we haven't done that now in months because things got so busy again. Yeah. We rode bikes together. My daughter learned how to ride a bike. It took me back, when I think about my childhood, and I almost feel like we took it for granted, that slowness,
Yeah.
I didn't have FOMO watching people on Facebook out because nobody was out. It was great. I really got to enjoy my family. I have a huge family and we're always with them. And for about 2 months, we didn't see any of them. And so it was just me and my little family. And it was just so nice, and I think back, and there are still times today where I'm like, can we just go back to quarantine life? Because you miss it.
Yeah.
I really miss it. But everything goes back, and it's like so fast paced. And like today I couldn't change because I was so busy. I came straight here, and that's why I probably smell like chicken. They're being nice. But
that's okay.
Yeah.
We love the nuggets.
But it's just, I almost miss it. I'm so happy that life is getting back to normal, but I also miss that minute where we were just in a bubble and it was just me and my little family.
Patricia, was there anything that you really thought about, like maybe tried to like make the best of it, or like, hey, you know what, this is not something that we would have been able to experience like in the normal busy life?
I think, going back to what Amanda said earlier, I probably could have never been a stay-at-home mom.
Same.
Even though I was working, like I still took more time in the mornings. It was nice to not be rushing and hurry up and get up, and you're going to be late, and packing food, and I spoil them. I make breakfast and I pack lunch.
I'm going to move in with Patricia.
So, I know.
So, it was nice to kind of take a step back and slow the pace down a little bit. And it was also nice to come home and, or try to work from home. Luckily, I have a very understanding commission that employs me. And so I was able to do a lot of, and I think we've all learned that we could do a lot of our work from home, right? Multitask and wash clothes and watch the kids and do legal work or handle our business at the same time. But it was definitely nice just to kind of slow the pace down and spend more time with the kids. But again, the biggest lesson for me is that I would have never been able to be a stay-at-home mom, because I think, there's a lot to be said for stay-at-home moms. I give my hats off right to them, but also working, I think we get, as funny as it may sound, that's kind of my me time, is I go to work, and that's when I have my adult time, and then at home it's my, everything else, right?
Yes.
But then I also learned, just how strong we are, as Karina mentioned. We're so resilient. You just keep going. You could be sick, you could be tired, worried, sick to your stomach over your children, or if someone's going to come into your house and infect them. But also the moms, and how we're all there for each other, right? Like even moms who I wasn't super close to, always, do you need something? Can I help you? And that was just something else we learned, that we could have our own plates full and still have a friend whose plate is full. They're offering help to you. And I think that that's one of the best enlightenment.
As far as, I know that the advice that y'all could get or give is like probably endless, but what is like some of your biggest pieces of advice that you would give moms who are listening to this, who are like, maybe they're struggling, or maybe they're like, it's too much, or anything that would help them?
I think just be kind to yourself. I think that as moms, we're harshest critics, and we do a lot of negative self-talk. I should have done this. Could have been better here, done this. And, it's okay. No one's perfect, especially right now. It's super trying times, and, we're all just trying to get by, and just be kind to yourself.
I would say don't be afraid to ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness.
And that's so hard for women. It's so hard for women just in general when you think about it, because, and that was one of the things that I was thinking about going into this, how a lot of times women, they don't want to ask for help because it's like, I should be doing this. I should be able to do it by myself, but nobody does it alone.
That's right. And it's not, there's no shame, right, in asking for help. There's no shame in admitting that you're stressed out. You can't be cool, calm, and collected and have this perfect image. I think, like you said, a lot of my Facebook posts were funny, but they were true.
Yeah.
And it was, me going through the various cycles of, just craziness and self, righteous moments and enlightenments, and learning my own strengths. And also, there's a lot to be said for family who's there to help you. And I think that was one of our biggest support system, was having our family. And also, if there's a mom out there, we all, in comparing notes with some of my mom friends, we all have our meltdowns. We all, yell at our kids. And, does that make us a bad parent? No, it doesn't. And there's a lot to be said, and a lot of learning when you talk to your child about why you were frustrated, and apologizing to them. And I think it helps both of you grow, and also understand, like, I didn't mean to, yell or raise my voice or be impatient, but they also have learned a lot from watching us have our own little, moments.
Yeah, no, I think it's very helpful for them, for growth, to see like, hey, you know what, like as an adult, you will say things that hurt other people's feelings. You will raise your voice. You will kind of, lose your shit a couple times. But as long as you recognize that, and you're like, hey, you know what, I messed up, then they realize it's okay. Amanda, what do you think? Advice?
I'm going to piggyback off of Patricia and Karina here. But I also think that having me time, there were times when I would just close my restroom door and take a bath, and I'm like, guys, this is just me time. And they didn't always follow it. They're always opening the door. I'm like, I don't go into your shower, but definitely some me time, whether it's, going for a walk, calling a friend, getting in the bath, something, and it's not that you're being selfish or anything like that. Go for a drive, but you have to get away, because if you're not taking care of yourself, there's no way you can take care of anybody else. Self-care is definitely extremely important, and I think that we forget about that sometimes. There's so many of us that struggle. I've talked to mommies, and when you start talking about like, hey, it was rough, and you listen to each other, and there's so many people that this past year has brought on depression and has brought on, anxiety and all these things that we are afraid to admit. And I think that if we don't admit it, it's going to cause more harm, to ourselves, which leads to causing harm to others. not in a bad way, I'm not, but I mean,
or sometimes.
Sometimes, right? We're going to take out the chancla. No, but I think that we forget that. And I am one of those that I forget that I do need me time. And, my focus is always work, my kids, my husband, and it's like, when is it for me?
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that we all need to be better at.
No, I agree. There was a book that I was reading recently, and it's about stress and women specifically and how we deal with stress. And it talks a lot about how, we put like this unreasonable burden on ourselves. And a lot of it does come from society, as far as like moms doing everything or the women just taking care of certain things. And it's like, you don't have to, put all that stress on yourself. Obviously, it's easier said than done, but it's important to remember, like Amanda said, take some time for yourself, and it's not selfish, and don't feel guilty about it, and then like be kind to yourself, like be nice. It's funny because, I'll read things about how women have this really negative self-talk about themselves, and I'm sure it just like amplifies like as being a mom. And it's like, if you think about the things that you're saying to yourself, would you say that to your best friend? Never. And so it's like, why would you talk to yourself like that? And so it's just like, yeah, you need to remind yourself, like, you're human, like, it's okay, like, you're gonna make mistakes, like, shit happens, and like, you just do the best that you can, and your kids are gonna come out great. Either way, y'all are great moms.
I think you're gonna have us all cry.
I'm trying.
I know. I'm looking
at you, and I'm like, I can't.
I'm looking at the eyes, and I was just like, okay, don't say anything that's gonna make them cry. No, it's hard, and definitely coming from somebody who's not a mom. It's definitely a job that is very underappreciated, and I think this last year, like, I know Ef'n was talking about how there was a huge focus on like healthcare workers. Like, man, they went over and beyond for people this last year. And then you think about moms and parents, and it's just, that is like 24/7. You don't get to clock out of that. You don't get to leave that. If you're lucky, you get to drive for a little bit to go to a job, and then you come back at the end of the day. But that doesn't mean you're not thinking about them. That doesn't mean you're not thinking like, what kind of math do I have to, learn to do tonight? Or, what are we going to have to, do this or juggle this around? Or, hopefully they're on task. And, it's never ending. But I hope y'all do realize that it is very appreciated.
We definitely feel it when our kids hug us.
Yeah.
And it's all worth it.
And they're the most forgiving, I think, of our audience, right? For lack of a better word. But I think, to them, they may not see the flaws that we see, because we do hold ourselves to that standard. But in the end, it's all worth it. And as long as our kids are happy and healthy, and even if they miss some assignments, or I taught them how to cheat at math, and they can always go to law school. It's okay.
Exactly.
They don't have to be doctors.
and anytime somebody talks about math, I'm like, or you will always have a calculator on your phone.
Or
That's it.
Or they can open their own Chick-fil-A, because I am like a VIP Red member and have like 1 million points. So I would be their number one guest.
That'll be nice.
Nice. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your obviously busy schedules away from your work and your family to join us here in the episode. And, y'all are super special and badass, awesome moms. And I don't think y'all hear it enough. But when we were talking about, who to do this episode with, we had a couple of names at the, top of the list, and y'all were definitely on it. So I'm really glad that y'all were able to come and share your story with our listeners, and also remind them, like, they're not in this alone. Like, when you do those posts online and you're complaining about something, or, you're having an experience, like, some mom out there is reading it and be like, okay, thank God, it's not just me. It's not just me.
I was that mom.
Reading it. It's nice to know that. And, like, be kind to other moms and help each other out when you can. And if you can't, that's okay too. Like, also realize like what you have in reserve for yourself, and take, your me time and all of that. And I hope everybody has like a great Mother's Day that's coming up, and y'all are showered with love and gifts. Most importantly, gifts.
Yes.
For everybody listening. Buy something nice for your mom. And thank you. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.